Carlos de los Santos. The Food and Drug Administration said that it may take about 21 days for them to evaluate the EUA application of Janssen Pharmaceuticals. Now, to give us more updates on pending vaccine applications, Greg Gregorio is joining us live from Mandaluyong. Greg, what is the current effectivity rate of Janssen's COVID vaccine?
Yes, Jester, according to data from the Janssen Pharmaceutical and its its approved EUA from the US FDA, it says that their vaccine efficacy is at around 85%, while 70 to 100% efficacy against severe COVID-19 the infection. Jester?
Okay, so Greg, let me clarify this. It's still the same single-dose shot. And I guess a bigger question as well is, can it be used for senior citizens?
Yes, just this one that Janssen applied for an EUA in the Philippines is a single-dose vaccine. Recall that Janssen is also doing clinical trials across the globe for another dosing regimen of their vaccine. But this one with an EUA application in the Philippines, it's a single-dose shot. And based on their data, for the single-dose vaccine, it can be used to 18 and above, including senior citizens. But if the same will be allowed to in the Philippines, that depends on the decision of the Food and Drug Administration, because according to FDA Director General Eric Domingo, they still have to evaluate all the data that have been submitted by the Janssen to our regulatory authorities. Jester?
Okay, at least that part is clear. It's okay to use for senior citizens, but that, of course, is still pending FDA approval. Now, of course, prior to Janssen, you have Bharat also applying for EUA. What's the latest on that?
Yes, in relation to Bharat Biotech, that is a vaccine manufacturer from India, Dr. Domingo said last Wednesday they have submitted a response to the query of our regulators, but as to when could they possibly have a decision on Bharat Biotech's EUA application, it will depend on when will they be able to satisfy all the questions of our regulatory officials. Jester?
Okay, from Bharat, let's move on to Sinopharm. What happened to their application?
Jester, according to Director General Eric Domingo, up until this moment, there is no official application for an EUA from Sinopharm. Earlier, FDA Director General Eric Domingo said that there are two companies or entities submitted or sent a manifestation for the EUA application as a representative of Sinopharm, but as of now, they have not responded to the FDA with regards to the requirements needed for this application. Jester?
Okay, I believe this is one topic that's been hotly debated over the past few days, Greg. You have, of course, ivermectin, and this time around, you have Anakalusugan Party List Representative Mike Defensor planning to actually distribute free ivermectin in Quezon City. How is the FDA taking that?
Jester, according to FDA Director Eric Domingo, as of this moment, there is no registration for the ivermectin, for the use of ivermectin for humans. And aside from that, there is still no given certificate or compassionate permit use issued to anyone for the use of ivermectin. Thus, Dr. Domingo emphasized that if someone will use this to an individual, it could only be used as anti-parasitic. But if it will be used as an off-label drugs, in this case against COVID-19, those physicians who will administer this must completely explain to their patients what could possibly happen if they will intake this ivermectin, because according to Domingo, we still have no enough evidence on how effective will this ivermectin be as part of a COVID-19 treatment. Jester?
Okay, Greg, circling back to vaccination here, especially for senior citizens, will Sinovac finally be used for the elderly and our COVID survivors also allowed to receive vaccines faster?
Professor, as of this moment, there are no additional data submitted by Sinovac in relation to their clinical trials for the use of Sinovac's CoronaVac to senior citizens. According to Dr. Ronjin Solante, member of the DOST's Vaccine Expert Panel, they have already made a recommendation to the Department of Health for the use of Sinovac for senior citizens, but according to for the possible for whether or not Sinovac's CoronaVac be used to senior citizens in absence of data for its efficacy on senior citizens. But according to Dr. Ronjin Solante, even though they have already set their recommendation, they still want the DOH to be the one who will issue the statement or the possible amendment of the current EUA for Sinovac. If we recall, this is also in relation to the thinning supply of the AstraZeneca shots in the Philippines. Jester?
Okay, definitely something that we have to keep tabs on. Thank you very much for those updates. Greg Gregorio reporting live from Mandaluyong. Now, treatment czar Leopoldo Vega admits that around 41% of hospital admissions for COVID-19 are only mild or asymptomatic cases. In an interview with Radio 5, Vega explained that hospital staff are finding it difficult to convince COVID patients to get admitted at quarantine facilities instead. Vega adds that some hospitals are only opting to take in mild cases because they have no capacity to treat those with severe conditions. For now, Vega is appealing to LGUs to help encourage mild and asymptomatic patients to stay at isolation centers. That's on top of looking for more quarantine facilities for such cases.
The only way na para magawa kagad natin to, talagang maghanap talaga ang Oplan Kalinga, lalong-lalo na sa Metro Manila dito, ng isolation hotel na pwede natin ilagay yung mga mild and asymptomatic patients sa mga hotel with accommodation at saka covered and accredited by PhilHealth. Kahanap na kami ngayon ng mga isolation centers. In fact, yung Manila Times sa Subic nga doon, sa Subic, convert na ho namin yan into isolation center sa New Clark City na mga isolation center. Kasi kailangan namin magkaroon ng decongestion sa kadamihan sa mga private and public hospitals.
The distribution of financial aid to qualified residents of NCR Plus areas begins today. While one LGU in Cavite is still grappling with allegations that one quarantine violator died after receiving strenuous physical exercise as punishment. Now, to enlighten us about these issues, we have with us on the line DILG Undersecretary RJ Echeverry. Good afternoon, Yusek.
Good afternoon and more power to your program.
All right, good afternoon, Yusek. So let's begin with the quarantine violator in General Trias in Cavite, who reportedly died after being forced to do hundreds of pumping exercises. Has the DILG started an investigation on this?
Yes, it's unfortunate, and we're sending our condolences to the family. We will truly investigate on the matter, starting from the local government and with the Philippine National Police. We will course through it through Chief of Police, Director General Sina.
But Yusek, what really is the policy here? Are local governments actually allowed to come up with physical punishments for those quarantine violators?
Well, for one thing, I think they have to come up with an ordinance first. No? Through that ordinance, it could be a basis. But initially, what we can do is to really ask them to just go back to their homes and stay there. For those who have violated, again, as I've said, it would depend on the ordinance that the local government has done. But IATF policy would dictate, perhaps the best thing is to just ask them to return. But as I've said, let the department investigate on the matter first, and perhaps we could recommend something to the IATF to prevent this from happening again.
So to be clear, there is no umbrella policy allowing physical punishment. Instead, what at least the ongoing, in principle, local government should instead just apprehend the violators and ask them to go home.
Well, I'm not saying that, no. As far as I know, local governments can create an ordinance for that. But for IATF policy, let me get back to you on that, no. As far as I'm concerned, the only penalty would be just to censure them and to ask them to return at home. But if there are physical activities, let me get back to you on that.
Okay, we do hope to get updates from you regarding that, Yusek. But moving on to the start of SAP distribution today, have all the LGUs in the bubble received their funding for this financial aid?
Well, so far there are now the NCR cities and regions 3 and 4 are still conducting delivery of cash. I think the NCR mayors have agreed that they will be using cash, no, instead of goods. And I'm sure the regions 3 and 4A would follow the same. But our point is, hopefully they would not distribute it in goods, because we're trying to prevent the spread of the disease. So I think through cash incentives, it would be. I think they're on the process of distributing it. Let me get back to you on the status of that.
All right, sir, how are early efforts to distribute the aid going? Are you receiving any reports from LGUs regarding successes and perhaps challenges as well in distributing the aid today?
Well, we are also receiving violations aside from the success of delivering. One good violation is that there are still those who are putting their names, or if not names, color coding. If let's say a political admin is known to be using this color, they will still use that, you know? So they could circumvent that. But we're looking into that and investigating on that. I'm pleading to the public and to the local chief executive. Wag na muna ho tayo mamulitika. Try to use the ayuda in a neutral way para hindi na ho tayo nagkakagulo. And we will truly investigate on you if you keep on doing that.
All right, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Interior Undersecretary R.J. Echeverry. Global warming continues to reshape conditions at the top of the world. This time, lightning is inching closer to the North Pole. Let's watch this. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.